Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today's video might be a little bit controversial as I'm going to be talking about skill and exploits and all of the things that are generally hot button issues in any FPS community. In full disclosure, while this video is directed towards my Call of Duty audience, as my channel is primarily directed towards a Call of Duty audience, this was inspired by the recent changes to Battlefield 6. Just so you guys know real quick, Battlefield 6 had a pretty massive movement change, changing up a lot of how, prone transitioning works, jumping and turning in midair, sliding, and it's been very controversial on their side of the pond. Now, they can fight over whether or not people should be able to bunny hop and slide jump and slide cancel and wave dash or whatever the hell you want to call it. Battlefield 6 is a sinking ship on fire with a crew that's asleep. So honestly, the game's not giving them any dopamine. Maybe a Twitter argument will liven things up. But I want to set the record straight on my opinion on this when it comes to most shooters, when it comes to Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, whatever it might be. There will always be tech in games. There will be drop shotting and jump shotting. There will be slide canceling. There will be the BXR in Halo 2. I would even lump quickscoping into this. This begs the question, when does it come down to developer intention versus pandering? Are developers pandering to the lowest common denominator when they nerf something that a small percentage of the community is taking advantage of? Let's break this down. So first things first, developers aren't perfect. They don't know how to balance certain things, and sometimes they back themselves into a corner. Some examples of this would be Black Ops 4 increasing the time to kill for the first time in COD history to 150 health to have more skill-based gunfights, right? But unfortunately, they still needed COD guns to be COD guns, DMRs, burst rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns. Making an assault rifle a 5-shot kill versus a 3-shot kill is one thing, but when shotguns aren't one-shotting, snipers aren't one-shotting, that's a problem. You can't really have a longer time to kill in Call of Duty without sacrificing a genuinely balanced longer time to kill, without sacrificing your map design, because head glitch spots and the type of map design that Call of Duty's had for decades now of like head glitch spots and windows and power positions and whatever, that changes entirely when somebody has, an extra 33% health or whatever. Snipers need to feel like snipers in Call of Duty, right? So they still have to be one-shotting to the upper chest at least, and so if I round a corner and have to land 5 rounds into you with an SMG or maybe 6 rounds because it's a longer, more skill-based time to kill, but you've already aimed down sight with a sniper during this and are shooting me in the chest or stomach and killing me immediately, I'm gonna be kind of pissed. And I was. I feel like shotguns used to be more balanced even in the games in which they were overpowered because players didn't have unlimited sprint and crazy movement speeds. So now, controlling your range of engagement with a shotgun in COD is brain dead easy because you can just equip Ninja in Black Ops 7 and just get over to the building, the corridor, the close range engagement area fast as possible. So it's not really something that you have to control or tactically plan around. Your sprint isn't a resource anymore, so certain things like shotguns become more irritating in modern games than they were in previous games, even if they're less technically powerful. Stuff like that. Meaning developers can't seal every crack. Everything has a downside, and I'll tell you right now, a lot of the conversations in these dev studios is just them going, we kind of have to eat this one. Like, if we want to have a fun shotgun in our game with these mechanics, with the movement speed, with the map design, whatever it might be, with all of this, yeah, it will be frustrating, but what are we going to do? Not have shotguns in an FPS game? I mean, one could hope, right? But, I mean, yeah, people like shotguns. People like sniper rifles. A lot of people would love it if Call of Duty didn't have grenades, shotguns, sniper rifles, kill streaks, anything that really, makes them have to respawn. So devs leave cracks unsealed. That's just a thing. And players take advantage of these cracks. Nothing is going to optimize the hell out of your game more than the player base. The player base is going to optimize the game for themselves. They're going to optimize their own fun, their own enjoyment, their own success. If your game allows them to sit with a ghillie suit thermal LMG in the corner of the map with no red name over their head, then maybe they'll just do that because that's going to be fun for them and frustrating for their enemies. Did you make them do that? Did you design a bad game? Or is there just a selection of things that people can combine together into a bullshit experience for other people? And isn't that the case in any open meta game where you can change your attachments, your perks, your abilities, your streaks, whatever? Did the developers of Modern Warfare 3 2011 expect you to run UAV, CUAV on support and just keep cycling UAV, CUAVs even if you're dying, using the hardline perk as well, let's say, and just keep cycling those UAV, CUAVs? Did they expect for you to do that and spam those all game? Did they know in Black Ops 2 that people were going to put down shock charges, bouncing Bettys, deployable riot shield, and LSAT target finder? Did they know that? Did they think that through? So my point that I'm making right now is that there's always something. There's always some combination of thing. And when it comes to mechanics like drop shotting, jump shotting, quick scoping, slide canceling, crazy movement tech, you could spend your time asking, was this intentional? But then you'll get caught up in though, is any of this intentional? Are any of the combinations and weird mechanics and strange designs intentional? Or is that just because the video games are made by flawed humans under a time crunch, trying to get as much done as possible, and eventually you just have to say when developing an open meta game, yeah, people are going to abuse that room, they're going to use that shotgun, they're going to use that perk and that perk, they're going to combine these streaks together. I mean, name me a Call of Duty with no crutch perk, no overpowered gun. So when you have a movement tech, is it intentional? You could get caught up in that, but a lot of players, what they do is they make it a part of the meta rule of law. It becomes a part of the game's vernacular, a little bit of a colloquial saying. You know how everyone in your town, has to pass a driver's test to drive there, right? But everyone in your town also kind of, on that one road decides to turn, even if the light's not changed. And everyone in this town sort of, rolls through this one stop sign because there's never any traffic. That's breaking the law, but there's sort of a meta law, sort of a communal law. It becomes a part of living in that area to just kind of know you roll through that stoplight and everyone turns here. That becomes sort of, again, a meta rule. And I've seen even police officers ignore people doing it because they know that's just what people do in this town. And so when it comes to certain mechanics, there are players that immediately make it a part of the meta vernacular. They are immediately sort of combining it into the game's code, the game's meta code, the game's communal code. That's just something we all do. That's just a rule we follow in this town. It happens. Tough tits, get used to it. Nothing inherently wrong with that. But if we really can't go inside the developer studio and go inside the lead developer's mind, or whoever's in charge of whatever mechanic or weapon or whatever we're talking about, we can't go into their mind, right? We can't go see what they're thinking, if it's intentional, if it's just something they kind of had to throw their hands up in the air and go, it's a part of the game, it would take too much to change everything, it's tough out here in show business. Or, is it something that they're actively annoyed about, they're trying to fix? We don't know. So then we go, do we just make it a part of the vernacular? We just make it a part of what you would teach somebody if they were brand new to the game. Do we just do that? And of course the answer is sort of pragmatically yes. You have to just sort of make it a part of it because it's there. It's there. It's objectively in the game. The slide cancel is there. The BXR is there. This trick with this grenade is there, this spot is here, this camping location, this area, this combination of streaks, whatever it might be, it's there. So you have to teach yourself it, you have to be aware of it, and you kind of have to, suck it up. So what do? Is quickscoping an exploit, or is it something that's sort of a high skill meta thing that people should be allowed to do? Should snipers be more powerful, more efficient, more competitive against other weapon classes, even outside of its effective range or inside a different weapon's effective range? Should it be? Well, you have to start asking yourself a bit more of an abstract question. Is it intentional, and should we just sort of make it a part of our communal meta? Those are great to ponder. If you are going to review the thing, the movement in Battlefield, the sniping in Call of Duty, if you're going to review it as something that needs to be applied, you have to ask if it makes sense. Does it make sense? Or is this something that people are adding to the vernacular because they like exploiting something with a knowledge gap? They like there being a knowledge gap between what makes sense and seems practical and prudent to do, and the things that more dedicated players know how to combine or control or operate in whatever way. You're buying Battlefield 6 because you want it to be sort of a large-scale, more realistic, tactical shooter, not Call of Duty, not Titanfall, not Halo, not Quake, not Doom, not Valorant, not Overwatch, not Marvel Rivals, not other competitive games. This is tactical, this is grounded, this is realistic. Why are people bunny hopping into slide jumps? Well, that's their skill expression. But you have to ask, does it make sense? Is it something that somebody picking up the game would think to do, or would think that the meta of the game would revolve around? Ask yourself that back in the day about drop shotting. You load up Call of Duty for the first time, you're a normie, you're a noob, everybody's a normie, everybody's a noob. This is kind of new, it's Modern Warfare 2, 2009, let's say. You go to enter a gunfight, and everybody that's doing really well kisses the dirt and kills you the UMP-45 at mid-range. Okay, everybody's doing this. Okay, but then in close quarters, you're getting killed by the intervention sniper rifle, and at mid to long range, you're getting killed by the SPAS 12 or the Model 1887s. Does that make sense? Does it make more sense to run around in close quarters with the intervention than it does to lay on your stomach in your ghillie suit the game gives you for running it and snipe somebody? Was Modern Warfare 2019 supposed to be more tactical and grounded and slower paced, or were people YYing melee weapons and tack sprinting into a slide cancel and flying around a corner at Mach 10 killing you in 3 bullets with an MP5? And even though that doesn't seem like it should be in the game at all from an outside perspective, just looking at the game objectively, here's the tone, here's the setting, here's the movement mechanics, here's how the game plays under normal conditions, versus here's how the game plays if you combine these perks, these attachments, these weapons, and then you push this exact button combination on your controller to get this crazy reaction on the other side. There are times when in Call of Duty, developers have straight up said something was unintentional. Whether it's the range of a shotgun, quick scoping, which has been touted as not fucking intentional, or slide canceling, which is something that developers said was unintentional, it was an exploit, and it creates an accessibility issue for people based on the sort of crazy button combo you had to press to do it. But it requires skill, so it should be there. But should it be there? Are you exploiting the game? Maybe developers didn't want you proning down to your chest throughout the entire 360 era of COD to get kills. Maybe they didn't want you drop shotting. Maybe they didn't want people bunny hopping across the map in Battlefield 3 to avoid getting sniped. Maybe they picked other battles. Maybe there were things in the game before it launched and maybe that they dealt with before we noticed that were way worse and they sort of just, didn't die on every hill. And like I said, players will optimize the fun out of anything. So we find it. We'll sniff it out. Whether there is a movement exploit or an attachment combination or a streak combination or weird location on a map or weird whatever, we'll find it, we'll use it, we like to have fun. We add it to the vernacular. It becomes a colloquial saying in the game. It becomes a part of the game's culture and community, even if it's unintentional. But if it's unintentional, then it'll probably end up getting fixed, nerfed, changed, if not in that title, then the next title. And all you have to ask yourself is, did it make sense? Did it seem like the type of game where that movement should happen? Did it seem like the type of weapon that should be that versatile? Should Modern Warfare 2 in 2022 have the same combat pacing and movement mechanics as Black Ops 3 or those two different games? Should Black Ops 7 feel more like Modern Warfare 2019? No, so you would say that they probably should feel different. They probably should have different pacings, different mechanics. Maybe they're even tailored to different audiences. Maybe the people rushing to Battlefield this year weren't wanting to deal with weird, funky movement tech that makes gunfights feel inconsistent and frustrating, even if it's not overpowered, even if it requires some skill to pull off. Maybe they don't want to deal with it because it doesn't make sense in the game that they purchased. Like maybe nobody wants to play a 2D fighting game with Fortnite building mechanics, and maybe nobody wants to play a battle royale with infinite respawns. Maybe somebody doesn't want to play a tactical, realistic milsim that lets you do Dark Souls style dodge rolls over and over again with unlimited stamina. You know what I'm saying? Does it make sense for it to be here? Even if you had to come up with some crazy button combo to do it, even if it's something that requires practice and skill, is it just something you're using against people that wouldn't be using it because it doesn't make sense for them to do it? They had no indication that they should. Half the player populations of AAA games like Call of Duty and Battlefield are casual. Are these people that are upset when sniping gets nerfed or movement gets nerfed, are they really against the skill gap getting closer, or do they like having a knowledge gap where they can basically position things that don't make sense against people that would have never tried those things to begin with because they're blindsided by its existence? Basically, somebody buying Battlefield was not expecting you to slide jump around a corner. Same as Call of Duty players take it kind of personally when they're using an SMG in close range, landing hit markers, and getting quickscoped. I don't care if it takes skill, does it make sense? I don't care if it's the developer's intention. The developers could come out and say, yeah, Battlefield 6 is now a movement shooter on par with Apex Legends. I'd ask still, does that make sense, and do I want that experience? We live in an era where empirical truth or just sort of rationale doesn't exist. Everything's relative. Everything's relative to our preference, right? It's my preference that blank. It's my thought that blank. But sometimes you have to just ask yourself objectively, does it make sense? Hottest take here at the end, if players worried about movement mechanics or any sort of high skill gameplay, if they were interested in that, They wouldn't be playing Domination in Call of Duty. They wouldn't be playing Conquest in Battlefield. They would be playing other shooters that have higher stakes and larger skill gaps and more competitive player bases. They would be going off and playing harder games if they wanted harder skill-based experiences. They don't want to do that. They want to exploit mechanics against casual players in AAA shooters. They want to flex the knowledge gap at you. They wouldn't be caught dead playing an actual movement shooter. They wouldn't be caught dead playing an actual tactical, realistic milsim. They wouldn't be caught dead playing an actual esport style game like, I don't know, Counter-Strike or Dota or something. I don't know. They don't pursue games with higher skill ceilings and larger skill gaps. They play casual AAA shooters like COD and Battlefield. They stay away from any sort of ranked game mode and attempt to solely just take advantage of mechanics against players that would have never thought to use them. The average person's mind when buying Modern Warfare back in the day, COD 4, was not that they were going to be, drop shotting and jump shotting around corners. It didn't make sense to them. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be a part of our communal vernacular. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be part of something that we teach players how to deal with and how to do and when to do it and when not to do it. It doesn't mean it makes sense. It doesn't mean it was intentional, and doesn't mean it doesn't sort of, make the game sort of fucking cheesy. Anyway, this is a very long video. I've had this thought bouncing around in my head for a while. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it and subscribe if you like this longer form, sort of opinionated content. Sorry if my voice sounds a little weird, I'm still fighting off congestion. My cold's long gone, but I still just can't shake this congestion, and I am kind of getting sick of it. So if I sound nasally, that's why. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.